WA records another COVID-19 death, but no new cases and a warm day sees thousands flock to the beach. A schoolyard brawl over the education lockdown. It's state versus federal as a primary school records an outbreak. The identity of the man responsible for a knife-wielding rampage is revealed. Genuinely saddened and sorry, the apology from a truck driver over a crash that killed 4 police officers as one of the fallen finally comes home. And the bold plan to bring one of the biggest sporting competitions in the world to Perth.
This is 10 News First Perth with Narelda Jacobs.
Good evening. An 83-year-old Perth woman has sadly become the 9th West Australian to die from coronavirus. Her tragic loss comes as the state recorded no new cases of COVID-19 for a 4th straight day. And on one of the hottest May days ever, police were making sure restrictions, albeit relaxed, were adhered to.
WA records another casualty to COVID-19.
Sadly, an 83-year-old West Australian woman has passed away.
The 9th death since the pandemic began. The elderly woman contracted the virus from a close contact.
It's obviously heartbreaking to hear another West Australian has lost their life to COVID-19. And I know all West Australians' hearts go out to the friends and family.
It comes as the state seems to be turning a corner.
Today I can announce we've recorded our 4th consecutive day of 0 new cases of COVID-19 in Western Australia.
WA now has just 19 active cases of COVID-19, but police continue to crack down on those not taking the new rules seriously. Since March, WA police have carried out nearly 10,000 checkups, with 14 people summoned, 10 arrested, 50 fines issued and 5 matters still under investigation.
There's a gentleman from Gingin who's now in custody because he didn't adhere to self-quarantining, and he can enjoy a jail cell rather than his lounge room over this period.
Today's warm weather proved to be too much of a temptation for West Australians. The Bureau of Meteorology recorded Perth's hottest May day in 2 years, and the people of Perth flocked to the beach.
Well, last week the state government relaxed the rules around groups of people being together from 2 people to 10 people per group, but social distancing rules still apply.
It's definitely busy, but I think everyone's making the most of the good weather while it's here.
I think, people still need to definitely be aware and stay away from each other.
I'm scared that they might remove too many restrictions too quickly. So hopefully if people still keep distancing with a common sense. Yeah.
The message from the Premier, simple.
We can't afford to get comfortable and slacken off. Don't be an idiot. We're all in this together.
This week we can expect an outline from the government on the way forward, including another possible relaxing of restrictions, but only if we keep infection rates low.
We do need to remain disciplined. We are still in a state of emergency, and we will be for some time to come.
Brendan Crew for 10 News First.
The man behind the stabbing rampage that terrorised South Headland on Friday has been identified as Ashley Files. It comes as one of the victims of the knife frenzy remains in hospital. Alexandra Isway has been following developments and joins us live. Alex, how's that man doing?
Narelda, there's been no improvement in the 39-year-old's condition. Staff here at Royal Perth Hospital tell me he's still fighting for life in a critical condition 2 days after the shocking attack. Today, police confirmed the identity of the knifeman shot dead by police as 34-year-old Ashley Files, a Perth-based FIFO worker. 7 innocent people were left with stab wounds during the 10-minute ordeal that unfolded around the South Headland shopping centre on Friday. Senior police at the scene tried to taser him, but when he lunged at one of the officers with the weapon, the other fired shots.
It was extraordinary, actually, and they carried themselves with such courage and followed all the procedures and the like, and they were just terrific police officers and West Australians. It may well be the case they saved many lives.
If those police officers hadn't been there, had they not, stopped the threat, then potentially other people may have been seriously hurt or worse.
Narelda, what caused the 34-year-old father to grab the knife and then so many people running for their lives is very much still under investigation. I did speak to his family today. They told me that while they are in shock because this is so out of character for him, they are grieving and they are upset that so many people have been hurt by what happened.
Thanks, Alex. A grandmother is the latest victim of a devastating coronavirus cluster in a Sydney aged care home, which authorities appear unable to control. It's now the second deadliest outbreak in the nation behind the infected Ruby Princess cruise ship. 14 people have now died. 37 patients and 26 staff have been infected. Experts say the facility's bosses have a choice: move all the ill residents or move the healthy ones.
Her family say she should not have died. Grandmother Anne Fay, coronavirus victim number 14 at the Newmarch House aged care home.
It's horrible. My heart goes out to the family. It's been horrendous from day one.
Yesterday, 76-year-old Anne was taken to Westmead Hospital. She passed away with her relatives peering through a glass isolation window. They told us today she'd been fit and healthy with no heart or lung conditions. Early on, she'd tested negative twice. Back then, they wanted her out, but were told it would be better to stay.
I can express on behalf of the entire community our sympathy.
Today, as another ambulance drove through the gates at Newmarch, the Health Minister announced extraordinary new protocols.
There will now be a daily testing regime of every staff member walking into that facility.
Another 2 staff tested positive overnight.
What we're hoping to do is pick people up in that pre-symptomatic period at the earliest possible phase.
There is just a single wing of Newmarch House which remains infection-free, so the home is now shifting residents around to keep those who are sick away from those who are well. But a leading disease control expert says that is still risky.
In a residential aged care facility, it may be quite difficult to keep them very separated. So you would probably move one or the other out.
The opposition leader wants residents who've tested negative given hospital beds.
And it should be instigated by the minister, and he should take control of this situation.
Whatever response we have to balance risks and benefits.
Anglicare says it's now talking to individual families and residents about how they can leave.
So we need some clarity as to what paperwork's needed, or if they need to go home, what the protocols will be.
He says some inside simply feel like sitting ducks. Daniel Sutton for 10 News First.
While kids have returned to classrooms in WA, the gloves are off in the fight to reopen schools across the nation, with the Federal Education Minister launching a scathing attack on the Victorian Premier. Dan Tehan accused Daniel Andrews of failed leadership, but retracted the comments after news broke of an outbreak at a Melbourne primary school.
As Victoria shuts down another school for 3 days due to COVID-19.
We have had a teacher test positive at Meadow Glen Primary School in Epping.
The Federal Education Minister launched an extraordinary attack on its Premier, Dan Andrews.
This is a failure of leadership by Dan Andrews.
Canberra is growing increasingly frustrated with his reluctance to reopen classrooms or even release a timeline.
Take a sledgehammer to defeating the coronavirus, but why are you taking a sledgehammer also to your school system?
I think Victorians understand, who's been leading the effort in Victoria to keep them safe, and that's certainly not been Dan Tehan.
It's the reason the minister claimed there's constant confusion and mixed messaging.
We have one Premier in particular who is jeopardising the national consensus on this. His state chief medical officer is on that national panel.
This is a very difficult and stressful time for families, and to have a big political fight between the states and the Commonwealth when it comes to schooling is the very last thing they need.
But just a few weeks ago, the Prime Minister was clear.
If you're going to school in Victoria, there's only one person you need to listen to, and that is the Premier of Victoria, as to what you should be doing in Victoria. Likewise, in New South Wales, you should listen to what the Premier of New South Wales...
Well, what they should do is listen to the medical experts.
You know, we look forward to the Prime Minister coming out today and explaining whether Dan Tehan's comments reflect the position of his government.
The Minister only received a report on Friday by a group of experts convened by Australia's chief scientist, confirming what many parents already fear, that almost half of Australian students could be significantly disadvantaged if schools remain closed for too long. Minister Tehan later clarified in a statement his personal frustration led him to overstepping the mark in questioning the Premier's leadership, and he withdraws the comments. Tegan George for 10 News First.
A man is tonight behind bars accused of murdering his wife, a woman described by neighbours as an exceptional person. It's come as a shock to the residents of the street in Sydney's West and to the couple's daughters, now grappling with what's alleged to have happened.
To everyone outside her home, Erlinda Songkwan seemed happy, but police believe behind closed doors it was a different story.
When the policeman said there's a fatality, I was shocked.
The 69-year-old woman was killed, allegedly by her husband, 73-year-old Ingratio Songkwan.
I have not seen anything wrong with him, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But in life, you know, everyone looks nice, but inside, you never know.
Police and paramedics swarmed on Timbaram Way just after 1 yesterday afternoon after officers conducting a welfare check uncovered Erlinda's body in the garage.
She is so nice. She's exceptionally nice. I think best human being.
While the details of her death are yet to emerge, police are calling it a deadly case of domestic violence. The couple's distraught daughters returned to the home this afternoon. Songkwan was arrested here at the Richmond railway station 2 hours after his wife's body was found. It's believed he took a train from Blacktown where the police helicopter spotted his car. Songkwan was formally denied bail in Parramatta Court this morning. He remains behind bars as his children mourn the loss of both the mother and father. Paris Martin for 10 News First.
The truck driver at the centre of a crash that claimed the lives of 4 police officers in Melbourne has apologised for his actions. The statement was issued through his lawyer today as an emotional interstate police procession continued to repatriate one of the fallen.
Constable Glenn Humphreys was never alone on the long journey home. Officers lined the road as his hearse was escorted from Melbourne to Newcastle to a funeral home where his family will get to say their goodbyes.
No matter what force they're in, they would have felt it.
Truck driver Mohinder Singh has been charged with 4 counts of culpable driving over last week's crash. The 47-year-old insists he's remorseful. In a statement, Mohinder Singh's lawyer said his client is genuinely sorry and saddened that 4 people lost their lives as a result of the collision, and that he is acutely aware of the impact upon their families, friends and work colleagues. The wider community has also been touched by this tragedy, with more than $1.5 million donated to a fund set up for the families of Constable Humphreys, leading Senior Constable Lynette Taylor, Senior Constable Kevin King and Constable Joshua Presney.
The mums and dads, be it $10, $20, $50 or so forth, or, you know, the amazing $250,000 that was given last night by the Pratt Foundation.
And even while they grieve, the men and women in blue continue to put their lives on the line.
Next time you see a police officer on the street, stop, wave and say a simple thank you.
Annie Kearney for 10 News First.
Queensland also enjoyed its first weekend of relaxed restrictions. Banana benders are being congratulated, with authorities handing out a small number of fines on a day that's seen just a handful of new cases around Australia. There have been 18 infections around the country confirmed today so far. That's compared to 16 yesterday. Overall, 6,799 people have tested positive to COVID-19 and 5,800 of those have recovered.
With freedom comes responsibility. Queenslanders were given a chance to prove themselves, and mostly they've done it.
All the members of the public that came down yesterday were really well behaved.
On the first day of restrictions around recreational activities relaxing, only 32 infringements were dished out to people breaching health regulations. That's more than $42,000 in fines.
In a state the size of Queensland, I think is testament to just how committed Queenslanders are to keeping our cases low.
And for a second day, parks were packed.
It's so good to get out. It feels like a bit of a release, not just staying at home.
Picnics were popular.
Everyone's joining together to make sure that we follow the law.
And even with a cool change and below average temperatures, on the water was the place to be.
Bloody amazing. Really good. It was so fun.
The heavy police presence is difficult to ignore, but almost everyone agrees doing the right thing isn't that hard.
They're very easy to follow. It's pretty much just stay away from other people, get in, get out, just kind of come down, do what you need to do and leave.
While the early signs are promising, it will take at least 14 days to know the impact the eased restrictions have had on infection rates.
That's because of the incubation period as well as the time it can take to get people tested and then trace back the source of infection.
So in 2 weeks, we'll know if this experiment was a success as other states watch to see if they'll follow suit. John Paul Gonzo for 10 News First.
Amidst the global COVID-19 pandemic, Perth has been the envy of the world. Now the English Premier League could be looking to take advantage. Talks are underway for soccer's royalty to play the final 92 games here, and the Premier hasn't completely ruled it out.
It's one of the biggest sporting competitions in the world.
Cracking Liverpool goal!
Now the English Premier League could be coming to one of the most isolated cities in the world.
So for Perth, it would put us on the map. It'd be a football fantasy.
Perth-based English agent Gary Williams is behind the idea. He's responsible for bringing the likes of West Ham, Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest to our shores in previous years. And he's currently in talks with the government and Premier League clubs to see out their season here.
And the clubs that we have spoke to are very positive about it.
But the Premier says he's yet to be contacted about the audacious plan.
Commonwealth has put in hard international borders to stop people coming in who aren't Australian. I look forward to any contact if they want to provide it to us, but I think there's a lot of obstacles in the way.
WA had just 2 new cases of COVID-19 in the last week. 9 people have died. A stark contrast to more than 28,000 deaths in the UK.
Britain has very, very high rates of COVID, and they have had a lot of people die. You don't necessarily want to risk these things.
I can't see that as a stumbling block. We are releasing bit by bit in Perth. And the lads would come over and they would isolate for 2 weeks.
If this plan could be pulled off, we could see double headers played here at Optus Stadium, as well as games at Perth Oval and the Wacker. Gary says the only problem would be keeping fans away.
If they don't finish the season, they'll miss out on the TV money, which is nearly £500 million.
I think it's a very, very big ask for that to happen here.
Talks will continue this week. Jessica Brown for 10 News First.
Still to come, the Perth Research Project, which could mean less procedures for breast cancer patients. Boris Johnson's touching tribute to the doctors who saved his life. How families are using motion sensor technology to check in on loved ones in isolation. And holiday at home, new hope for domestic tourism down under.
This elimination is going to be a cracker.
Who doesn't love that crunch?
We want you to bring us a dish with the best crunch.
Sounds simple, right?
It's just got to be delicious and crunchy.
But for one of your favourites, it's crunch time.
I'm going to have to bring my A game or it's going to be me going home.
This elimination is all about crunch. Crunch.
It's got to be perfect. The tiniest little mistake
could make or break you. I have to cook with everything I've got.
I'm definitely not ready to go. So not ready to go.
I've stuck to my guns and hopefully it pays off. Almost nothing but crunch. Almost nothing but crunch. If you don't hit that brief, that could be what sends you home.
Who will crack?
This is about the crunch.
Mine wasn't crunchy at all.
The Shock Elimination on 10. Who will crack? 7:30 tonight.
Thinking about heating your home or office? Save up to 30% off premium Fujitsu ducted systems. Save hundreds on Fujitsu wall-mounted split systems. Visit ambienceair.com.au and find out why. It's more comfortable choosing Ambience Air.
Ben & Jerry's present a Netflix original flavour, starring fudge brownies as chunk, peanut butter as ice cream, pretzel as swirl, and introducing Spoon as itself. Try Netflix and Chill today.
Synergy and the WA Government are working to help those doing it tough right now, from households to WA small businesses and charities. To see how, search Synergy Help for You.
Due to the coronavirus, Tony Barlow Fine Tailoring stores are now temporarily closed, but will reopen very soon. Shop online now for huge savings at tonybarlow.com.au. Sports coats from $2.99, casual jackets from $99, business shirts from $69, and our famous 5WT collection. Casual shirts from $69 and cotton chino pants from $79. We look forward to seeing you in store soon.
Service is so good, I signed up my mum.
Another real review from a happy Aussie broadband customer. With thousands of 5-star reviews, an award-winning NBN network and all Australian support, you'll want to introduce us to your parents too. Aussie Broadband. Can't beat feedback.
Can care be better at home?
Someone from Medibank mentioned that there's a chance I can do rehab at home.
I said, oh, how much extra is that going to cost?
And they said, no, you've got it in your hospital cover. It just was fantastic for me.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of your weekly shop with selected products from the Olay range, now half price. And half price on Rexona antiperspirant deodorant, 220ml, just $3.75 each. Coles, good things, great value.
Have you been missing Ed, Ursula, Marty, Kitty and Sam?
I mean, say no more as far as I...
Well, they're back.
I love you so much.
I'm not unhappy with that.
The new season of Have You Been Paying Attention returns on 10. Have You Been Paying Attention returns tomorrow.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has given his first interview detailing his brush with COVID-19, which left him in intensive care. He revealed doctors had even prepared to announce his death to the public, only for him to recover and see the birth of his baby boy 17 days later.
Meet Wilfred Laurie Nicholas Johnson, the UK Prime Minister's new baby boy. Nicholas after two doctors who saved Boris Johnson's life.
So the utterly brilliant doctors, leaders in their fields, men and women, but several of them for some reason called Nick.
In an interview with the British tabloid, Boris Johnson has described his personal battle with COVID-19 and the grim thoughts he had. It was a tough old moment, I won't deny it. They had a strategy to deal with a death of Stalin type scenario, revealing he kept asking himself, how am I going to get out of this? Across Europe, where the virus has killed more than 130,000 people, restrictions are easing. In Spain, after 49 days of being housebound, people were allowed out to exercise, and they made the most of the opportunity. European leaders are spearheading an international alliance to find a vaccine and make it available globally. They're meeting virtually tomorrow, hoping to raise $12 billion to make their plan a reality.
Und deshalb haben wir die Aufgabe.
Germany is set to contribute a major sum, not just for the benefit of its people, as Angela Merkel explains, but those across the world. Until a vaccine is found, life is unlikely to resemble what it used to.
Smiling, can you tell? I know, that's what's it with your eyes. Yes, I can.
Meeting new mums and nurses online, the Duchess of Cambridge spoke of the struggles of parenting in a pandemic, something Boris Johnson will have to navigate, along with running a country still deep in crisis. Phoebe Bowden for 10 News First, London.
A major police search has been called off near Mandurah after a man missing for a week was found at his mate's house. 66-year-old Peter Woods hadn't been seen since the 27th of April when a major air, land and sea search was conducted amid fears he needed medication. Mr Woods was today found at a residence in Greenfields where he'd been invited to stay. He was taken to hospital for a checkup. The long-awaited Morley to Ellenbrook rail line has finally been given the green light after a decade-long fight. Infrastructure Australia has given the project the tick of approval, paving the way for $500 million in Commonwealth funding to be released for the 21-kilometre rail line. New stations will be built at Morley, Narelda, Malaga, Whiteman Park and Ellenbrook. Construction is expected to start in the coming months. A car's ended up on its side in a crash in Perth's east. The Honda Accord and the Hyundai Accent collided just after 6 last night, causing one of the hatchbacks to flip. It happened at the intersection of Beachborough Road North and Benara Road in Beachborough. Luckily, no one inside either of the vehicles was seriously hurt. Perth researchers are creating a new type of scan to detect microscopic breast cancer cells during surgery. There's hope the technique could stop women from having to come back for more operations.
Small but potentially life-saving, this device could be the world's next weapon in the fight against breast cancer.
So this, I think, is the first time that a technology has been developed specifically for this fundamental question of if the surgeon has got all of the cancer out or not. 1,800
women in WA will be diagnosed with the disease this year. But after a tumour is removed, residual cancer cells are hard to trace. Up to 30% of patients need to return for another round of surgery.
We also know there's an increased rate of infections and worse cosmesis, and many women in the end will just say, hey, I'll just have a mastectomy.
All surgeons use is their sense of sight and touch to determine if any tumour is left behind, often leaving microscopic cancer cells undetected. But that's what a research team from UWA and Harry Perkins Institute is hoping to change. The imaging technique acts as a microscopic probe to detect traces of cancer cells which are stiffer than normal tissue.
Measuring how much the tissue moves, we're able to form images of the stiffness on a pixel-by-pixel basis with microscopic resolution.
It's been 95% accurate on benchtop studies so far and will soon be trialled in surgery, while a ready-for-sale device could be years away.
It's really much more accurate than any of our current technologies, such as mammograms or ultrasound, so it's a very exciting technology.
The researchers say that down the track, this type of technology could be used to detect other types of cancer cells, including brain, prostate and even lung cancer.
Then that would also be a very good way to benefit from all of the development that's gone into this technology over many years.
Amelia Simpson for 10 News First.
More than 500,000 Australians have reached out to their banks for help with their home and business loans. Banks have approved deferrals on mortgage repayments for more than 320,000 homeowners and postponed repayments for 170,000 businesses. Banks have also provided new business loans worth more than $45 billion. Let's check in with the weather now with Amanda Jason. And Amanda, this weekend's been the calm before the storm.
It certainly has been, Narelda. The next few days will bring us some pretty wild weather with a series of cold fronts and low pressure systems. But thankfully, the weather was looking pretty good over the weekend. Warm as well. On Saturday, we reached 28 degrees. Today, we reached 29 degrees. Overnight temperatures still pretty cool, though, dipping down to 12 degrees. At the moment, the temperature is sitting at 23 in a very light westerly wind. Humidity was just 17% at midday today. It's now 74%, which is a little bit of a sign of what is to come. Elsewhere across the state today, we got to 26 degrees in Kalgoorlie, 29 in Geraldton, 31 degrees in Albany. Warm conditions ahead of the cool change. I'll have details for you later in the bulletin, Narelda.
Thanks, Amanda. We'll see you again then. Up next, hot weather in the US leads to complacency despite soaring death rates. North and South Korea exchange gunfire inside the demilitarised zone. And a bride's special moment with her grandmother, the clip that's warming hearts around the world.
Agent LaCroix, I'm on my way.
Aussie Julian McMahon is brilliant in the brand new series.
Our job is not to bring justice to the most wanted. Our job
was to bring the most wanted
to justice.
New FBI's Most Wanted tonight following MasterChef.
Bob Jane T-Mart's Bigger Better Deal. Instant cashback on a wide range of passenger, performance, SUV and 4x4 tyres. At Bob Jane T-Mart's, we'll look after you.
Small business is the lifeblood of our community. It employs close to 500,000 people. Right now, a lot of those small businesses and the people they employ need our help. So what can we do? Well, what small business really needs is our business. Together, we can help keep small business in business and West Australians at work. Authorised by the State Government, Perth.
Alright Australia, so you need more energy and a better night's sleep. Meet the revolutionary Sleeping Duck mattress taking Australia by storm. It's the next generation mattress reimagined by aerospace engineers to give you the best energy, health and sleep benefits possible, even making history by becoming the first mattress ever to win Choice's Best Overall Mattress 2 years in a row. It comes manufacturer direct, free of markup. And that means you can get incredible quality with incredible value. That's Sleeping Duck, one giant leap for your sleep.
Studies show that being overweight can impair your immune system. So there's no better time than now to be healthy. Be strong. Be whatever you want to be. OptiSlim has your back. With delicious shakes, bars and soups, the OptiSlim weight loss range can help you take back control of your body. Lose weight, improve your immune system and be your version of better. Order online at optislim.com.au or Chemist Warehouse today.
Hyundai's end of financial year sale is on. Get great value across our eye-catching range. Like the Hyundai i30 Hatch with the confidence of a 7-year warranty. And end of financial year bonuses on selected SUVs, including the Hyundai Tucson. And 7-seat petrol V6 Hyundai Santa Fe. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
Feed the family with Hungry Jack's new family bundle. Treat yourself with 2 Whoppers, 2 cheeseburgers, 4 small chips, 4 Cokes, 10 nuggets and sauce, only $24.95. Get takeaway, drive-through or delivery at Hungry Jack's.
The value we get from my budget is incredible. People ask us what kind of fees we pay. I honestly don't notice because we've never had so much money.
Call my budget today.
Favourites. It's crunch time.
Mine wasn't crunchy at all.
The shock elimination tonight.
Globally, almost 3.5 million people have now tested positive for coronavirus, and the known death toll is likely to pass 250,000 later tonight. In the US, the virus kills an average of 1 person every minute. But stunning weather and weeks of confinement have lured millions of Americans back outdoors. Here's our US correspondent, Amy Ashton-Atkinson.
Parks were packed in New York City and beaches were busy again in Florida. One man dressed up as the Grim Reaper as a grim warning to those not socially distancing.
But I think it's too soon to draw thousands of millions of people to our beaches.
In California, where the beaches are closed, thousands disagree.
Free up the beach! Free up the beach!
And it's getting physical.
What are you doing out here spreading the disease?
Oh! Texas is one of a handful of states that are beginning to reopen, but it's a slow start.
So far, I haven't seen anyone come in yet, but hopefully by Monday of next week.
There are meat shortages right now across America too, with processing plants being hit hard. 800 workers at this one in South Dakota have all tested positive for COVID-19.
They had to protect us more.
Donald Trump is working on his economic recovery plan at Camp David this weekend, missing a flyover above Washington, paying tribute to frontline workers. In New York, it was the doctors and nurses who were clapping as the army shut down its biggest temporary field hospital in Manhattan. Signs of progress, but there's still a long way to go. So the US is recording well over 1,000 coronavirus deaths each day, with the total now standing above 67,000. Here in New York, we've been under lockdown orders for 2 months now, and people are getting restless. So one solution the city is trying is they're opening up 65 kilometres of streets and roads to pedestrians to allow people more space when they're outdoors to get out, walk about, but still maintain social distancing. Narelda?
Thanks, Eamon. For the first time since 2018, North and South Korean soldiers have exchanged gunfire across the border. South Korea's military says troops from the north fired several bullets at a guard post inside the demilitarised zone. The South responded with 2 rounds after issuing a warning broadcast. No deaths have been reported, and it's still unclear what triggered the altercation. But it comes only a day after North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un re-emerged in the public for the first time in weeks. He'd been rumoured to be dead or seriously ill after an operation. Islamic State fighters have killed at least 10 members of an Iraqi militia group in one of its deadliest attacks in months. Militants launched the early morning assault in the city of Samarra, 120 kilometres north of Baghdad. It's the latest in a series of ISIS attacks in Iraq, which is dealing with a major economic crisis exacerbated by the coronavirus. Iraq declared victory over the group in late 2017 after a 3-year military campaign. A Texas police officer has died and another is critically injured after their helicopter crashed into an apartment block. It's unclear why the crash occurred, but no one in the complex was hurt. Coronavirus restrictions haven't stopped this American grandmother from being part of her granddaughter's wedding day. She was dressed for the occasion and waiting with a clear view through glass as the young bride and her groom stopped by the aged care home for a special socially distanced visit. Still to come, we'll update all the day's top stories. Plus, scrapping COVID-19 cancellation fees. Our flight centre has bowed to pressure. And homebrew heaven. Beer lovers turn to their backyards with pub doors closed.
We want you to bring us a dish with the best crunch.
For one of your favourites, it's crunch time.
Mine wasn't crunchy at all.
The Shock Elimination, 7:30 tonight.
At Bunnings, we're here to help with some simple projects you can do while you're at home, like getting started on that veggie patch. You can shop online, order what you need, and we'll bundle it up for you. Bunnings Warehouse. It's like having the warehouse at your fingertips.
You don't give in, you don't give up. It's called Aussie Spirit, and it takes spirit to get through times like these. It's what inspires us to help. Together we'll get through this. Search Toyota, here to help.
His instincts date back to his true origin, like protecting his food from predators. And just like his wolf ancestors, a nutrient-dense, protein-rich meal is what your dog instinctively needs. Feed their true origins.
A lot's changed over the last few months. For over 100 years, Allianz Australia has supported its customers through uncertainty and change. And we'll continue to ensure what matters most to you, because our support doesn't stop here.
Winter is on its way and it's time to back your body's defences with Blackmore's Bio C1000 at Chemist Warehouse. This high-dose and convenient one-a-day tablet boosts your vitamin C to help reduce the severity and duration of common cold symptoms. Now with a new look but the same great product, try Blackmore's Bio C1000 150 tablets, just $21.99 at Chemist Warehouse. Start supporting a healthy immune system today. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Give the gift of relaxation this Mother's Day at Bodhi J Wellness Spa Retreat. Now, more than ever, your mum deserves a bit of tranquility with the most luxurious natural treatments and a wide range of gift packages available at all 4 Bodhi J locations. Now is the time to let her know you care. Plus, every gift voucher purchase is your chance to win a luxury getaway. bodhij.com.au.
Quite often I wake up without wanting to wake up.
I just thought there was no hope whatsoever. And that's the worst thing that can happen to you, that feeling of no hope. So now I'm mostly in a good spot. Sometimes my mornings are a bit difficult,
Even though it might be in small ways, helping others is part of what keeps me going.
I've been around for 29 years because the company is so good to work for. I suppose the constant in all the years I've been here is making people look good, feel good and being the best they can be. The best part about my job is educating young people and watching them grow into fantastic hairdressers. So I educate the staff to educate their clients, to make them feel and look great long after they've left the salon.
Our team, making you look and feel the very best you can every time.
My husband is at it again.
She's meant to be me?
Yeah.
New How to Stay Married, Tuesday on 10.
From bullied to bodybuilder, one Aussie woman's revenge against her schoolyard tormentors.
Plus, have you been paying attention? Did I? Tom Gleisner is back with some familiar faces set to make Monday great again. What a pack of weirdos. He joins us live.
Join the Studio 10 force, 8 o'clock tomorrow. Tonight's top stories: an 83-year-old Perth woman has become WA's 9th person to die from coronavirus. The state has also recorded no new cases for the 4th day in a row. Federal Education Minister Dan Tehan has backed down after this morning accusing Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews of taking a sledgehammer to schools over his reluctance to reopen classrooms. Mr Tehan says he overstepped the mark. And the man who was shot dead after a stabbing rampage in South Hedland has been identified as 34-year-old Perth-based FIFO worker Ashley Files. The officer involved have been praised for their bravery. The reopening of pubs and bars around the country is still a distant dream for many people missing their local watering hole. Now, one of WA's best beer makers is calling on a resurgence of the backyard brew to help pass the time fermenting at home during isolation.
On any given day, these beer gardens are usually jam-packed, but coronavirus has called last drinks for venues around the world. It's still not clear when pubs will be able to open again, so one of WA's biggest beer makers is calling on brewers to dust off their backyard kits. Brewing beer is no simple task, and for many around the world, creating a fancy froth has become a true art form.
I don't think anything is off the table, so people can just go wild, get creative.
You might not have a setup as good as this one in the backyard.
You got 6 to 8 hours here, you got 2 weeks in the fermentation vessel, a day or so to keg and carbonate, and then we're straight to the bar.
But the Little Creatures head brewer says the theory between here and at home is still much the same.
And people just really get excited at home about crafting their own recipes and refining them and, you know, excelling them over time. Which is basically exactly what we do here.
The winning beer will be brewed here, put on tap and then showcased at Freo Beer Fest. But until then, this should hit the spot.
It's brew, ferment and then bottle and then enjoy.
Bo Pearson for 10 News First.
Bo and beer is a very unlikely combination. Australians are well known for our international wanderlust, but it's looking unlikely that any of us will be going abroad anytime soon. But domestic travel could be around the corner. And while it might be time to book yet, we can certainly start planning.
The beauty of the Barrier Reef, the awe-inspiring Uluru and the stunning sunsets of the Kimberley. At the moment, the only way we can travel there is through our screens.
Now is a really great time to be dreaming.
But 2020 has been more like a nightmare for tourism. First, the bushfires, then came COVID-19, stopping us from a quick getaway down the coast with school holidays spent at home. Australians are getting itchy feet, but road trips could be just a month away.
We're sort of hoping by June 1st, restrictions will have eased a little bit and we'll start allowing Australians to sort of explore their own state.
More than half of visitors to the 10 Traveller website say they would definitely look at a driving holiday within the next 6 months, while 71% say they've spent time planning or researching local trips in the past week. And that should be some comfort for local operators. If you don't know David Hammond, you'll know his businesses. He's in charge of the Harbour Bridge climb. His family started Scenic World in the Blue Mountains, and he's just opened the new Sydney Zoo. All currently closed.
Originally we thought we'd be opening in October or November, but now with the curve flattening, we think we'll be open a lot sooner, and that's really exciting for all our visitors and especially our staff.
But jetting off overseas isn't looking likely this year.
But international travel is likely to remain off limits for quite some time as of course we see the spread of the virus quite uncontained in so many parts of the world, in contrast to the really great containment that's occurring here in Australia.
And if we can't leave the country, then it's pretty likely that overseas visitors won't be allowed into the country. Last year, 9.5 million international tourists visited Australia and they spent up big, more than $45 billion. But that's not all lost, because the same number of Aussies would usually be exploring the world and they're staying at home. So we could actually be the answer to kickstarting our local tourism industry.
We have some incredible 3 to 4 day walks all around the country that are fairly new. We've got some great luxury lodges. We have some of the most epic landscapes.
So start working on your Aussie bucket list, because we've never needed a holiday more. Charlotte Goodlett for 10 News First.
Thousands of travellers charged a cancellation fee by Flight Centre will receive a refund. The travel agent will compensate customers $300 for international cancellations and $50 for domestic flights. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission welcomes the move after receiving more than 6,000 complaints during the COVID-19 pandemic. 4.25 million Australians have now downloaded the federal government's COVID Safe app. While the number is growing, it's a far cry from 40% of the population, which the government says is necessary before restrictions are lifted. It comes as Australia's top virus advisor at the World Health Organisation admits she is yet to download the app herself because of privacy concerns.
As an epidemiologist, I see the enormous benefits, not just for contact tracing, but for modelling as well. And so that is very desirable, but it needs to be done in a totally safe place for those that provide those data.
Professor McLaws says she won't download the app until there's greater clarity over where the data is stored and who has access to it. Ros Kelly joins us with all the sports news tonight, and Tamworth has become an international airport, all for rugby league.
Narelda, the New Zealand Warriors have touched down, but 2 key players are missing. Details next. Plus the sacrifices this AFL star is prepared to make to win a premiership. And could the biggest football stars on the planet soon call Australia home?
We chat to the fabulous Adam Lambert tonight at 6:30.
Have you been missing Ed, Ursula, Marty, Kitty and Sam?
I mean, say no more as far as I...
Well, tomorrow, they're back.
I love you so much.
I'm not unhappy with that.
The new season of Have You Been Paying Attention returns tomorrow.
Synergy and the WA Government are working to help those doing it tough right now, from households to WA small businesses and charities. To see how, search Synergy Help for You.
At UE, we're all about how you use or don't use your car. But right now, most people who usually drive to work aren't. Most people who work from home are driving even less, and most retirees and commuters are homebound. If you are using your car less, we'd like to give you temporary relief on your car insurance premiums. UE clients, go to our website, follow the prompts, and your saving will be applied. Shopping around for car insurance? The same relief applies to you. UE, you insured.
Germs, grimy little beasts, getting in our fingernails, throats and things. We cough and sneeze, which spreads them all about, making us sick inside and out. Food and drinks cannot be shared, or you could end up in hospital bed.
Getting a needle from your doctor can do the trick and stop you from getting very sick.
Germs, very mean. Kill them off with vaccines and keep yourself clean.
Legendary Triton now comes packed with 7 years warranty and a $1,500 bonus. Plus, for ABN holders, it could also qualify as an instant asset write-off. So contact your local dealer. They're open and ready to assist.
Everyone knows Australia has 4 big banks, but the 5th biggest retail bank is regularly voted one of the most trusted brands in Australia, looks after more than 1.8 million customers and can be found in over 500 locations nationwide. So try Bendigo Bank, the better big bank.
My perfect bowl is just right in first, Greek yogurt on top.
The secret is fruit.
Have you tried yogurt?
No, sister, Margate.
Just Right's already got fruit in it. What do you want to add more fruit for?
It's the best way to start the day.
Harvey Norman presents your Westinghouse kitchen in premium dark stainless steel. Create healthier, tastier meals with air fry, available across the entire dark stainless steel range. Steam Assist will add moisture to your roasts whilst leaving a crisp, golden finish. And baking with steam gives you a better rise, crispier crust and fluffier centre. The steam reheat function is perfect for your leftovers. And for a thorough, chemical-free clean, the pyrolytic function will easily remove grease and grime. See the new range from Westinghouse in-store and online now at Harvey Norman.
Introducing BP Rewards. Now you can earn points with every BP purchase.
BP Rewards.
Use BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards. BP Rewards.
Or you can choose to earn Qantas points.
Now that's what I call BP Rewards.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. BP Rewards. Your rewards, your way.
For one of your favourites, it's crunch time.
Mine wasn't crunchy at all.
The Shark Elimination tonight.
Good evening. 2 players failed to board the flight from Auckland as the Warriors set up base in New South Wales ahead of the NRL's May 28 restart. The squad is now in quarantine in the famous country town of Tamworth.
The Warriors were taking no chances as they left Auckland. Media was kept away from the team and their families before takeoff. The expected 4 p.m. local time in Tamworth was delayed and the load 2 players lighter.
All measures have been followed and we haven't jeopardised any health risk here.
David Fusatu staying home on compassionate leave while Nathaniel Roach was told to stay home and get tested after calling club officials to say he wasn't feeling well.
The fact is he didn't and hasn't had any direct contact with any player or staff member that's flying to Australia.
Goodbyes weren't easy. Adam Blair finding it tougher than most.
You know, it's heartbreaking. You know, these children are saying goodbye to their fathers for a long period of time.
The Warriors will spend 14 days in quarantine in the famous country music town that can't wait for a different type of NRL visit.
Certainly is a bit of a moral boost. Everyone loves their footy. Tamworth is a very sporting town and it's great that we've got something to be able to promote the city, and you know it's a bit crazy but quite a bit of international interest too.
The venue of isolation was today adding the finishing touches and last minute preparations.
Everybody's ready, everything is in place, all the precautions are done. We're ready. Bring it on.
Well, this is Scully Park. This is where the Warriors will be training for the next couple of weeks while they're in quarantine. As you can see, nice and green and lush. I feel like rolling on it. And I've been told that there's a chance that once the Warriors turn up here at the facility tonight, they might even turn the floodlights on and they might get a bit of a walk around and maybe even kick a footy. Michael Kane for 10 News First.
Among the many AFL players desperate to return to football is Giants recruit Sam Jacobs. The 32-year-old wants to play in a premiership and says he and his family are prepared to make sacrifices to do it.
After just one match at his new club, the Giants, Sam Jacobs and family headed home to South Australia.
Got a 2-year-old daughter, so it's nice to be able to, I guess, be more hands-on. And I'm back home in South Australia, so it's nice to spend time back at home just doing jobs around the house.
As the AFL looks at returning in June, Jacobs will wait until he has more detail before heading back to Sydney.
You know, there's no point me moving everyone back up to Sydney for us then to go on a hub for 4 to 6 weeks. So it sort of makes sense just to sort of hold tight. And, you know, I'm still getting a lot of quality training here, which has been really good.
But he's as keen as anyone to get back to playing.
And there, back to Big Sauce, and he worked it out nicely.
You know, I'm 32 now, and, you know, I'm really I guess, excited for whatever footy I have. You know, it's 1, 2, 3. 3 years left. I just want to try and play as much footy as I can. And in this time, we all have to make sacrifices.
After 9 largely successful years at Adelaide, Jacobs filled a glaring need for the Giants in the ruck. He's eyeing the ultimate prize, a premiership.
Everything just felt like a real natural fit for me, and I guess that was the thing that was so appealing was, you know, the stage where I'm at in my career, you know, it's a great opportunity to go up there and hopefully have some more success.
It's been a bumpy move to Sydney for the Jacobs. They just settled into their new home and the bushfires hit.
You wake up in the morning and you literally can smell smoke from your lounge room, or you're sitting there watching TV and you can sort of just it's covering the sky. So it is pretty confronting at times.
Rob Waters for 10 News First.
There's a push to have the English Premier League finish its season in Perth. It's the brainchild of agent Gary Williams, who says Perth's weather, venues and low corona count make it the ideal place. And he says he has high-level support.
Sports Minister Mick Morris, positive, pushing it forward. Glenn Stirl, the Senator Glenn Stirl's pushing it really forward. And I've spoke to Football West, which is the governing soccer body over here, and they're fully behind it as well.
Of course, there are still plenty of hurdles to overcome, with international flights currently banned, and the concept would need to be approved by a majority of the 20 Premier League clubs. We have the rest of the day's sports news coming up just after 6, Narelda, including an exclusive tour of the Warriors Isolation Hub.
Thanks, Ross. We'll see you again then. Coming up next, Amanda Jason has all the weather details.
The back-to-school debate becomes all-out war, 6:30.
We want you to bring us a dish with the best crunch.
For one of your favourites, it's crunch time.
Mine wasn't crunchy at all.
The Shock Elimination, 7:30 tonight.
Fancy a new flavour this refill?
Murray River Salted Caramel.
New Tim Tam Crafted collection. What more could you wish for?
For over 35 years, Solid Gold Diamonds have been welcoming clients to their showrooms, and we still can with showroom and virtual appointments. So now more than ever, show someone you love them. Call or book now at Solid Gold Diamonds.
Want to sell something for instant cash? We're open. Looking to buy from a huge range of quality second-hand goods for less? We're open. Cash Converters. Find us online or visit us in store.
Feed the family with Hungry Jack's new family bundle. Treat yourself with 2 Whoppers, 2 cheeseburgers, 4 small chips, 4 Cokes, 10 nuggets and sauce, only $24.95. Get takeaway, drive-through or delivery at Hungry Jack's.
You'd never clean your surfaces with this, so why use this? Sponges can carry millions of germs. Dettol wipes kill germs instead of spreading them. Now biodegradable and compostable.
Have you filed a claim for compensation for a car or work accident injury? Do you know how much you deserve and what your outstanding claim is worth? Phone solicitor Simon Walters for your free initial consultation now.
Quite often I wake up without wanting to wake up.
I just thought there was no hope whatsoever. And that's the worst thing that can happen to you, that feeling of no hope. So now I'm mostly in a good spot. Sometimes my mornings are a bit difficult.
Even though it might be in small ways, helping others is part of what keeps me going.
Let's do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Get PointsBet's new racing form from RaceNet. PointsBet offers you won't believe, moments you'll never forget.
Hyundai's end of financial year sale is on. Get great value across our eye-catching range. Like the Hyundai i30 Hatch with the confidence of a 7-year warranty. And end of financial year bonuses on selected SUVs, including the Hyundai Tucson. And 7-seat petrol V6 Hyundai Santa Fe. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
Kitty Flanagan's back Monday nights.
I think we know why.
The new season returns tomorrow.
Good evening. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend and enjoyed some of this sunshine and warm temperatures we've seen over the past couple of days. Things are going to begin to take a turn. As early as this evening, we're actually going to be seeing some showers and thunderstorms developing in the far southwest of the state, even late tonight. Now, it is all thanks to a cold front that will be sweeping across the southwest. That is going to bring showers and thunderstorms. We could see severe thunderstorms, particularly with the potential of damaging winds. This is how things look tomorrow. A band of pretty heavy rain moving through. We'll see 10 to 20 millimetres moving across parts of the southwest. But then on Tuesday, we'll see another front approaching. Now, this next cold front, though, that moves through on Tuesday, we'll actually see a deep low pressure system to the south. That low will track along southern parts of Western Australia over the course of late Tuesday into Wednesday and Thursday. This system will bring some pretty wild winds, also some heavy rain, and we could see isolated falls of up to 50 millimetres as we head into late Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's briefly look around the rest of the country. Tomorrow in Brisbane, it will be dry with a top of 25 degrees, sunny and 20 degrees in Sydney, partly cloudy and 16 for Canberra. Melbourne will see a possible shower with a top of 15 degrees. For Hobart, it will be a cloudy day and 16 degrees, 18 and cloudy for Adelaide. Clear skies in Alice Springs with a top of 23 degrees, Darwin 34 degrees and partly cloudy. Across the state tomorrow, showers developing in Geraldton a little later in the day with a top of 26 degrees. Showers and thunderstorms developing right across the southwest overnight tonight and throughout tomorrow. As that system extends further inward, that's going to push the showers and the windier conditions further north and eastward as we progress through the day. Esperance will reach a top of 29 degrees ahead of that cooler change, and then temperatures will obviously drop in behind that cold front. On the waters, the winds will be northwesterly, turning west-southwesterly and getting up to 25 knots by the afternoon. Widespread rain and thunderstorms tomorrow. Lancel and possible storms and a top of 23 degrees. 22 degrees as a top across the city tomorrow. Rain and the threat of severe thunderstorms. More storms on the way on Tuesday. We'll see showers and windy conditions continuing into Wednesday, and then just a possible shower on Thursday and Friday. Thank you.
Tonight's top stories: WA records another coronavirus death, but case numbers are improving. The man shot by police in South Hedland has been identified. The actions of officers praised as heroic. And a schoolyard brawl backed down from the Federal Education Minister after a scathing assessment of the Victorian Premier. The man behind the stabbing rampage that terrorised South Hedland on Friday has been identified as a fly-in, fly-out worker. Ashley Fylde's family is still coming to grips with the violence they say is out of character. As Alexandra Risway reports, one of his victims remains critically injured.
Narelda staff tell me there's been no improvement in the 39-year-old's condition. He's still fighting for life here at Royal Perth Hospital 2 days after the terrifying attack. Police today confirmed the identity of the knifeman shot dead by police as 34-year-old Ashley Fylde, a Perth-based FIFO worker. During a 10-minute ordeal that started at the Lodge Motel and then continued through the South Hedland shopping centre, 7 bystanders were left with stab wounds. 2 senior police officers were called to the scene. One tried to taser the knife-wielding attacker, but when he lunged at them with the weapon, the other fired shots.
It was extraordinary, actually, and they carried themselves with such courage and followed all the procedures and the like, and they were just terrific police officers and West Australians. It may well be the case they saved many lives.
I think it's incredibly brave. WA Police Force coined the phrase step forward. Well, that's exactly what they did.
I spoke to some of the 34-year-old's family members today. They told me they're still very much in shock as this type of violence was out of character for him. And while they are grieving, their thoughts are with the Hedland community. As for the motive that drove him to grab the knife and stalk innocent people, that is still very much under investigation.
Thanks, Alex. An aged care home in Western Sydney is now the epicentre of the coronavirus pandemic in our country. Residents have been left terrified with limited access to their families. Now, a grandmother has lost her fight, becoming the 14th resident to die of COVID-19, with 37 patients and 26 staff infected during the outbreak. Authorities are taking drastic action to save other lives, but experts warn it still might not be enough.
The flowers and notes outside Newmarch House tell the story. Another day, more sadness. And here, the latest face of it. 76-year-old grandmother Anne Fay. She died in Westmead Hospital with her family watching through a pane of glass. Victim number 14.
I can express on behalf of the entire community our sympathy.
It is news Mary Watson is not sharing with her 93-year-old mum Alice.
We don't want to go there with her like she's got the virus. We don't want her to think, well, that's it for me too.
The Fay family says Anne initially tested negative twice. They wanted her out, but were advised she'd be better off staying.
Sorry, I really can't comment on individual cases. I can't.
Overnight, another 2 staff members at Newmarch tested positive. Now, every single worker will be swabbed daily on their way in.
What we're hoping to do is pick people up in that pre-symptomatic period at the earliest possible phase.
There is just a single wing of Newmarch House which remains infection-free, so the home is now shifting residents around to keep those who are sick away from those who are well. But a leading disease control expert says that is still risky.
In a residential aged care facility, it may be quite difficult to keep them very separated. So you would probably move one or the other out.
The opposition leader wants residents who've tested negative given hospital beds.
And it should be instigated by the minister, and he should take control of this situation.
Whatever response we have to balance risks and benefits.
Today, as another ambulance arrived, other residents' families softened their criticism.
Total turnaround. It's been amazing. It's taken time for them to get it organised.
Kevin's mother-in-law, Robin, is among those still testing negative.
I'm not looking to attribute any blame at all, but I just wonder if they got that help earlier, if there would have been less cases and they might have got it under control quicker.
And the reality is, some of the sick are still in the fight of their lives. Daniel Sutton for 10 News First.
An 83-year-old Perth woman who contracted COVID-19 from a close contact has become the 9th person in Western Australia to die from the virus. The sad news comes as the state recorded no new cases for the 4th day in a row. There are now just 19 active cases in WA, but police are maintaining zero tolerance for those caught flouting the rules.
There's a gentleman from Gingin who's now in custody because he didn't adhere to self-quarantining, and he can enjoy a jail cell rather than his lounge room over this period.
The Premier is expecting to outline the next steps this week, including another possible relaxing of restrictions. Frustrated Federal Education Minister Dan Tehan admits he overstepped the mark in criticising the Victorian Premier for not reopening schools. In the explosive comments, he accused Dan Andrews of a failure of leadership and taking a sledgehammer to the sector. Tegan George has more from Canberra.
Well, up until now, we've seen a fairly successful and cooperative national cabinet, but the cracks are beginning to show. In particular, there's been an extraordinary breakdown of the relationship between Federal Education Minister Dan Tehan and Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews. Minister Tehan has delivered a blistering attack on the Premier, describing his reluctance to reopen schools as a failure of leadership and claiming he needs to be called out for jeopardising national consistency. Now, it was only a few weeks ago Scott Morrison was telling parents to listen to their premiers. Today, the minister says they should be listening to medical experts.
This is a failure of leadership by Dan Andrews. Take a sledgehammer to defeating the coronavirus, but why are you taking a sledgehammer also to your school system?
I think Victorians understand, who's been leading the effort in Victoria to keep them safe, and that's certainly not been Dan Tehan.
Now, this political fight escalated just hours before Victorian health officials announced it was closing another Melbourne school after a teacher tested positive for COVID-19. This afternoon, we saw Federal Education Minister Dan Tehan issue a statement clarifying his personal frustration had led to him overstepping the mark in questioning Victorian Premier Dan Andrews' leadership on this issue, and he would like to now withdraw those comments.
Tegan George there. Queenslanders also enjoyed their first weekend of eased restrictions, drawing praise from health authorities, with only 32 people fined for breaching regulations on the first day of relaxed rules.
In a state the size of Queensland, I think is testament to just how committed Queenslanders are to keeping our cases low.
While the early signs are promising, it will take 2 weeks before the impact on infection rates is known. The truck driver involved in the horrific freeway crash deaths of 4 Victoria police officers has issued an apology to their loved ones. It comes as more than $1.5 million is raised for families of the fallen officers. One of them will be farewelled at his old school. Annie Kearney has more.
Narelda Xavier College is where Constable Joshua Presney went to school, and it's tomorrow where his funeral service will be held. Tonight, the school's chapel has lit up blue in honour of him and his 3 fellow officers who were killed in that horror smash on the Eastern Freeway. The truck driver charged over that crash, Mohinder Singh, he has said today that he is genuinely sorry and saddened about what happened. In a statement through his lawyer, he said he's acutely aware of the impact on the 4 officers' family, friends and colleagues. You can't even begin to imagine how traumatic tomorrow will be for Victoria Police and Constable Joshua Presney's family. He'd only graduated from the Victoria Police Academy last December, and it was at that ceremony where he was presented with his badge by his fellow officer and younger brother, Alex. There has been a huge outpouring of support and grief from the community, with more than $1.5 million donated to the Victoria Police Legacy Fund.
The mums and dads, be it $10, $20, $50 or so forth, or, you know, the amazing $250,000 that was given last night by the Pratt Foundation.
Tomorrow's service will be small because of COVID-19 restrictions, but Narelda, it will be live streamed to Constable Josh Presney's family, friends and work colleagues.
Thanks, Annie. Coming up next, the technology putting minds at ease in isolation. Plus, as the Warriors touch down in Australia, 10 News First has an exclusive look at their isolation training facility. And the tragedy driving Australian motocross champion Toby Price.
On your Monday night menu, we're serving up something big. At 7:30, it all begins with the Masters of Cooking.
That is unbelievable.
Then the Masters of Laughter are back.
I've given you the points. What more do you want?
Just you to admit that you're wrong.
Enjoy Tam's Monday night menu. Bon appetit.
Creating the ultimate memories sometimes means creating the toughest stains. Improved Omo Ultimate is Omo's most powerful laundry liquid. It attacks your tough stains first time and whitens and brightens. Try Omo Ultimate.
You know, I had the weirdest cravings when I was pregnant with you. Pickles and ice cream.
That's gross, Mum.
Only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, shall I stay? Would it be oh, if I can help falling in love with you.
When was the last time you washed your hands? Go on. In 20 seconds, you can help reduce the spread of infection. We don't care which soap you use. We care that you care. For you and for all. Dove.
Mum, wherever you are, today is still all about you.
This year, more than any year, it's the thought that counts. A personalised gift designed with love. The tech she needs to stay in touch. The perfect way to start her day. Or keep her comfy and warm at night. Find the perfect gift for Mum at Harvey Norman. Our spacious stores are open, or shop online, and we can deliver direct to Mum's door. This Mother's Day, make it all about her at Harvey Norman.
Chemist Warehouse donated this 30-second ad to Lifeline because every 30 seconds, someone in crisis calls Lifeline, which means now, more than ever, they need people at the other end of the line. So please, give what you can at lifeline.org.au. Because for people in crisis, every second counts.
don't give in. You don't give up. It's called Aussie Spirit, and it takes spirit to get through times like these. It's what inspires us to help. Together we'll get through this. Search Toyota, here to help.
The world's most exotic fragrances are made by nature. That's why we've created Botanica Fragrances, infused with natural ingredients that are responsibly sourced. Botanica by Airwick.
In breaking news, former North Melbourne coach Dean Laidley has been charged by Victoria Police. The 53-year-old was arrested yesterday and has been charged with stalking. He faced court in Melbourne today and has been remanded in custody until his next appearance. He played 151 games for West Coast and North Melbourne and coached the Kangaroos for 6.5 seasons. For many elderly Australians, coronavirus isolation hasn't only kept them from loved ones, but also from carers who drop in to help. But now, new motion sensor technology is helping concerned families stay informed and connected.
Anne has been keeping herself entertained for nearly 7 weeks, not seeing friends or family at her home throughout the pandemic.
I wouldn't necessarily want people coming in that I wasn't completely sure about.
Plenty of older Australians have been taking precautions at home, but for some, self-isolating has meant suspending their in-home care from nurses, carers and other health professionals.
A fair degree of anxiety about whether it was safe for them to carry on receiving those services.
The fear of infection from outsiders has proved a challenge for healthcare providers, but technology could provide some peace of mind. This motion sensor system enables families to be kept in the loop of their loved ones' regular routine from afar.
We share that information through an app with their family, and specifically we look for changes in your routine and we try and use that to predict when something serious might be about to happen.
While some states have begun relaxing social distancing restrictions, aged care advocacy groups are saying it's important people are cautious when visiting vulnerable friends and family.
We still have to be very mindful that COVID-19 can be transmitted and will be transmitted if there is a COVID-19 positive person in some arrangement where there's a group setting.
Sydney Pede for 10 News First.
If you're tired of being cooped up in isolation, it could be time to take up a new hobby. A Melbourne dance company has taken its art online, not just teaching classes via Zoom, but creating an entire virtual theatre experience, thanks to 60 young performers working from their own bedrooms.
A dark time for the arts now has a shining light.
And when you have restriction, creativity actually thrives. You can really think outside the box.
Outside the box, into boxes. Rather than having to take the term off, Origin's dance company has taken social distancing and raised it. Not just holding classes online, but creating a live virtual performance piece.
It's called Our Own Island, so the whole idea is based around a 4 square metre box, like a grid in Zoom.
Allowing the dancers an outlet to tell their stories through isolation. We want to give them a platform in order to release a bit of the tension and the discomfort that's happening during this time.
One dancer who knows all about that discomfort is Xander So. He's only just been able to join after being quarantined on board infected cruise ship the Diamond Princess.
It's nothing that I would imagine going through. Just being stayed in your own small room with minimal space. I'm very excited to go back to the studio after being cooped up in a room for a very long time.
And while the situation is far from ideal, all 60 of the dancers are just happy to get to dance at all.
Bend 2, release, leg lunge. I can't see how these people could continue through this time not having their creative, their emotional outlet. And it's our responsibility and it's our job to make sure that they can continue doing that.
The company's work will premiere online in June. Georgia Love for 10 News First.
It's time for a bit more sport now with Ros Kelly. And Ros, the Warriors have touched down in Australia.
Narelda, the New Zealand Warriors are settling into the New South Wales country town of Tamworth and dismissed talk of health concerns. The NRL squad arrived over an hour late and also without two key players. David Fusitu'a remained in Auckland for personal reasons, while Nathaniel Roach was ordered to stay at home after complaining of a sore throat.
What's crucial here is that the club and the players followed due process, particularly in regards to Nathaniel, and nobody or anything was jeopardised. So we're very comfortable about that.
The Warriors will spend the next fortnight in quarantine. And of course, the team will have 5-star facilities during their stay. 10 News First reporter Michael Kane was given this exclusive tour of their isolation hub.
Well, I'm here with Rod Lang, the CEO of the West Entertainment Group here in Tamworth. Rod, thanks for your time. This is the real hub where the Warriors are going to stay. I suppose it's a bit of a one-stop shop, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, and it's basically a bubble without the bubble over it. As you can imagine, we've got accommodation right here. We've got the event centre, the conference centre next door. We've got Scully Park, which is our #1 sporting ground in the city, and the surface down there is second to none. So it's a really great facility. Literally 50 seconds from the hotel room, bang, you're down at the sporting ground.
So this is the gym. This is where it's all going to be happening.
Yeah, some of the equipment's starting to arrive now, and within the next hour, the trucks will pull in, and this will be it. This will be their home for the next 14 days.
So how much more equipment has to be delivered?
Quite a bit, and I believe there's a couple of trucks that'll be loading gear in during the course of the afternoon, so there's a fair amount of equipment coming in. So right now, you've got the hotel one side, the event centre on the other side, and down this hallway leads into our main club, which is the West Club. So down the hallway and to the left is where the players will be having their meals.
I tell you what, Rod, the Warriors will have no excuse to hit the ground running when that starts on May 28th.
Look, that's certainly, and we're hoping that this place will become their home for 2 weeks. They won't want to move. The accommodation is 4.5 star. The ground is 5 star. And this facility here is obviously 5 star. So, yeah, we're hoping that we're covering their dietary needs with all their meals. That's been done. Chefs are out there now working. That they'll say that they'll dig their heels in and say, "Hey, we're staying. We'll base ourselves from Tamworth."
AFL players are being told to head home for training and get ready for the resumption of the competition. But family men such as Sam Jacobs want more information. The GWS ruckman is currently in Adelaide and won't drag his young family back to New South Wales and leave them without support until he knows there won't be a quarantine hub.
Yeah, obviously with a wife and a 2-year-old, it's just a little bit tricky sort of navigating our way through. So once we know more, whether we go on a hub or whether it's just going to be quarantine, just sort of fly in, fly out sort of stuff, at least I'll have a bit more idea about, what to do family-wise.
The hubs look less likely now, with state governments tipped to ease travel restrictions this week. Toby Price will ride in honour of a fellow competitor who tragically passed away in the 2020 Dakar Rally. The motocross champion is still coming to terms with the loss, but it hasn't diminished his love for the event. Price aims to keep riding in the annual torture test for another 8 years.
If this is your day job, it's a little bit tougher being cooped up indoors. Instead of kicking up dust, Toby Price has been tinkering in a new shed, forced to slow down to the pace of life. Kind of.
Still moving in and getting everything sorted, but yeah, these all along here are all some old helmets. So up here, this one here, I crashed and broke some bones in and everything, so it's all smashed up.
Toby finished 4th in a Dakar Rally in January, an event overshadowed by the fatal accident suffered by Paulo Gonçalves, and the Australian was first on the scene.
It's still, pretty fresh in the memory there, and pretty much just feeling so helpless to somebody else in their life. It's definitely not the best feeling, that's for sure, and it took its toll. There's always going to be more Dakar races coming. There's going to be no more Paulo, so it's a sad day, but we'll keep charging on and try and do the best we can and get some race win for him.
Toby's toughness is the stuff of legend, fighting back from a broken neck and winning one of his Dakar titles with a broken wrist. His pain threshold is otherworldly, the urge to go really, really fast, much stronger than any thoughts of self-preservation.
if I can squeeze 8 years out of myself on 2 wheels, I'll be quite happy and pretty impressed with that. So that'll take me through till I'm about basically 40. If I can transfer over to 4 wheels and race Dakar on 4 wheels, I'll be pretty pumped. And you can go to 55, 60 years old in cars.
Price is disappointed the Finke Desert race had to be cancelled. It's a chance for Aussie fans to meet their hero, who sports a mullet instead of a cape.
A lot of people from around Australia travel 2-3 days just to come and have 30 seconds to say hello and watch me fly by. It's amazing, and that's what keeps pushing me to challenge myself more.
They'll get to cheer Toby for many years yet. He reckons he'll still be racing to the front of the queue in a nursing home.
It'll be a challenge for sure to be the fastest one to get to the cookie jar, mate. So I'll be winning that one for sure.
Bence Hammerley for 10 News First.
And that is the latest in sport this Sunday evening, Narelda.
Thanks, Roz. After the break, weather storms are on the way. Amanda Jason is next.
This elimination is going to be a cracker.
Who doesn't love that crunch?
We want you to bring us a dish with the best crunch.
And for one of your favourites, it's crunch time.
I'm going to have to bring my A game or it's going to be me going home.
Who will?
This is about the crunch. Mine wasn't crunchy at all.
The Shock Elimination, 7:30 tonight.
Creating the ultimate memories sometimes means creating the toughest stains. Improved Omo Ultimate is Omo's most powerful laundry liquid. It attacks your tough stains first time and whitens and brightens. Try Omo Ultimate.
It's more important than ever to stay close. And you can, with unlimited standard calls for eligible pensioners to local, national and Australian mobiles from a Telstra home phone.
Want soft, beautiful feet effortlessly? Try the Scholl Velvet Smooth electronic foot care system from Chemist Warehouse. The extra coarse roller head provides effective, gentle exfoliation, removing very hard skin, leaving you with soft, beautiful feet after just one single use. Right now at Chemist Warehouse, the Scholl Velvet Smooth electronic foot care system is just $25.99. So for soft, beautiful feet, choose Scholl, Australia's #1 foot health brand. Live, look, feel well at Chemist Warehouse.
Is your home bursting at the seams? Time to call Storage King. With stalls everywhere, there's a location just around the corner. Temporary or permanent solutions with no lock-in contracts and contactless move-ins. Call now and let Storage King give you back some space.
The Sporting Globe is now delivering direct to you with free delivery for a limited time across all of our classics, including buffalo wings, ribs, parmas and burgers when you order through our app. Bring the good times home from the Sporting Globe.
For over 40 years, Canning Vale has invested in quality and design, making exclusive luxury homewares attainable. And now you can enjoy premium quality at up to 75% off. With Canning Vale's Luxury for Less sale, make home a sanctuary of warmth and style with generous discounts on the distinctive Canning Vale range, all with 100-day home trial and free returns. Shop online now using code FREE for fast free shipping to your door, up to 75% off for a limited time. CanningVale.com.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of your weekly shop with selected products from the Olay range, now half price. And half price on Rexona antiperspirant deodorant, 220ml, just $3.75 each. Coles, good things, great value.
You don't give in. You don't give up. You push on when most would have pushed off. You lend a hand, whether a hand was asked for or not. It's called Aussie Spirit for good reason, because it takes spirit to get through times like these. Lucky you've got it in spades. It's what inspires us to be by your side to help. Together we'll get through this. We always do. Search Toyota, here to help.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals. Sony Truly Wireless Noise Cancelling Headphones for $2.99. Or these Sony Premium Headphones for $3.95. And $450 off this Garmin Fenix 5S Sports Watch. Buy in store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Downloading the app gives us protection as a nation.
It's going to be the first thing I do as soon as we get off air tonight.
You did convince me because you
We had a strong conversation.
You called me belligerent.
I agree with you. If ever someone tells me to do something, I say no. But I'm sick of not playing sport. I'm sick of not watching sport. Just download the freaking app, people.
News delivered differently. Next on The Sunday Project.
Good evening. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. We are in for some wild weather over the next few days ahead. A cold front will move through the southwest tomorrow. This will bring an area of heavy rain and thunderstorms. We could see 10 to 20 millimetres of rain across Perth with some isolated falls even heavier than that. Then we will see a second front and low pressure system moving through Tuesday into Wednesday. So tomorrow, Albany and Bunbury seeing thunderstorms getting to a top of 22 in Bunbury. Showers on the way for Geraldton a little later in the day with a top of 26 degrees. Warm in Esperance getting to a top of 29 ahead of the cool change. This is what it will look like across Perth tomorrow. We'll see that band of heavy rain moving through. Thunderstorms could become severe with the threat of damaging winds. Taking a little look ahead on Tuesday, we are going to see some quieter weather through the morning, but showers and thunderstorms will begin to increase into the afternoon and evening, and then showers on Wednesday and Thursday. Thank you, Narelda.
Thanks, Amanda. And that's 10 News Perth for tonight. I'm Narelda Jacobs. Thanks for your company. Join me in the Studio 10 team from 8 a.m. tomorrow. For now, good night.